Kakadosh Boker Tov, Masechet Yoma Daf Nunhe Amud Aleph 55a1. Masechet Yoma. The Gemara says, Tana, we learned in a Braita, Keshehu mazeh eno mazeh ala kaporet ela keneged ovya shel kaporet. When he's going to come and he's going to sprinkle. So when he's going to sprinkle above, this is talking about the sprinkling of the blood. Okay, so he's not going to sprinkle on the gag of the kaporet, on the roof, on the top of the kaporet. Ela, he's going to sprinkle in the avid keneged ovya shel kaporet. Okay, so basically he used to come and after dipping his finger inside of the blood, he used to put his hand keneged ovya kaporet. Okay, and then he used to come, right? That's what it says here. But the blood would not actually. That's what it says here. The blood would not actually touch it, but used to fall on the floor in front of the kaporet. As keshu mazeh lemala metzaded yado lemata. So when he's going to come and he's going to be mazeh lemala, he would be mitzaded yado lemata, which means he used to put his hand towards. That's what it says here. The back of his hand, he used to put downwards, and then he used to do it upwards. Now, when he's doing it downwards, he used to put his hand upwards. So this is the picture. I'm going to share the screen. Okay, as keshu mazeh lemala mitzaded yado lemata, and then keshu mazeh lemata mitzaded yado lemala. Okay, those are the two different pictures. So, where do we know these words? Amar Ravacha bar Yaakov, Amar Rabbi Zira. Says Ravacha bar Yaakov, the name of Rabbi Zira. Amar Kra, it says in a pasuk, V'yiza oto ala kaporet v'lifnei kaporet. So it says, what does that mean? You're going to sprinkle it on the kaporet and in front of the kaporet. Ala kaporet means on top, lemala. Lifnei kaporet means lemata. So he says, Lo yomar lemata b'sa'id. Right, you don't have to say that it's going to be downwards in the sa'id. The lot tzarich was you don't need it. Why? Tegamar milemata de pad, because he already learned it from the sheva zaot, which is done by the pad. Remember that they had to sprinkle also by the pad, which is the bull of the Kohen Gadol, and also by the sa'id, which is the he-goat of the Kohen Gadol. Remember that the sa'id, it was a sa'id la Azazel and a sa'id la Hashem. So the sa'id was his korban to Hashem, and then he also brought a pad. Okay? So it says, so lama ne'emar, so why does it have to say by the sa'id, v'lifnei kaporet? La'akushe al lifnei, to make a hekesh on the lifnei. What does that mean? Remember, hekesh means juxtaposition. It's a proximity, something which is brought close by one beside another. So it says, ma lifnei de lav al, just like the word lifnei kaporet does not mean mamash on the kaporet, it's in front of the kaporet, but it's on the ground. So to ala kaporet, de lav al. So too on the kaporet is not al, which means nothing is sprinkled mamash directly on the aron. It's always on the floor. The question is on top, right, or before? So the Gemara asks, Adrabah, the opposite. Lo yomar lemala b'pad, de lo tzarich, de gamar lemala de sa'id. Right? So 1 second. Why don't we just say the opposite? Why don't we say that you don't need to say about the sprinkling of the lemala above by the pad, by the bull? Because you don't need to say it, because there you could learn it from the lemala of the sa'id. That just like by there it says, which means you have to do to the blood of the sa'id just like you did to the blood of the pad. So lama ne'emar, so why does it say there in al penei kaporet, on top of the kaporet? Le'akushe, to make a hekesh, lifnei le'al, right, before the kaporet to on. So just like al penei kaporet, right, is mamash al mamash, it's mamash on top of it. So to lifnei kaporet means al mamash. Meaning, why are you trying to tell me that it's not mamash on the kaporet? Here I would say it's mamash on the kaporet, right? Just like it's, meaning, why are you learning the dama sa'id from the dama pad? Maybe learn the dama pad from the dama sa'id. And then say it's al mamash, that it's 100% on the kaporet. So says the Gemara, hi mai. What tana is that? He says, if you're going to tell me that it's on the bottom of the, right, that's meaning that when you're going to tell me to do the hazaot on the bottom, right, and we're talking about the sa'id, that when it says v'lifnei kaporet, we're going to make this a kesh, right, that it also has to be that it's not mamash touching the kaporet, so then it makes sense, right? The mala de parmi ba'alelech letana. and we need lemala of the par, just like we taught in the Braita, right? The Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, because we taught in the academy of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. The Tana of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, al penei kaporet kedma. What does it mean al penei kaporet kedma? Ze bana av. What does it mean bana av? It's a binyan av. Binyan av means that we're going to learn it for many other things as well. Kol makom sheneemar peneh. Any time that it says peneh in the Torah, eno ela kadim. It's only on the tzad mizrach. It's only on the east. Elayim Rabbanah, if you're going to tell me now, so it doesn't mean peneh mamash on top of. It just means that it has to be towards the east. So now he says elayim rat lemala de par lakusha. But if you're going to tell me now that the lemala of the par is in order to make the kesh, lemata de sayyid lemayata. So what does it come to teach you? The lemata of the sayyid. Okay. So therefore, you're forced to say that the alzaot of lemata of the sayyid were only brought down to make a kesh to the azal lemala. So it comes to teach you that even if the azal lemala is not touching the shul kaporet. Okay, fine. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in a Braita. Viza oto ala kaporet v'ifnei kaporet. Right. So this is the pasuk that we kept on speaking about. You're going to sprinkle the blood on the kaporet and in front of the kaporet. Lamanu. So we learn from here. Kama lemala bedama sayyid. How many azaot does the Kohen Gadol? How much does he sprinkle above with dama sayyid? Achat. Right. But it says viza oto. Oto is singular, so it's only once. Lemata basayid. And yodea kama, but I don't know how much do you do on the bottom. We know that it's achat, and we say achat lemala, right? We do it's one above, but how much are lemata? How much are below? So at any dan, so I'm going to say nemru damim lemata bepar. It says blood on the bottom by the par. Then nemru damim lemata besaid, and it says damim, right? Ah, very good. And it says lemata by the said also damim. Ma lemata bepar sheva, just like the mata is 7 times. Because we do acha lemala v'sheva lemata, so therefore af lemata b'seid should be sheva. That means we're just learning that it should be the same number. If it says viza oto, oto is singular, so we already know that on the top it's only going to be 1. But how much do you do on the bottom? So learn it from the par. The par is 7, said should be 7. Or klach lederech zo. Or why don't we go the other way? Nemru damim lemala b'seid. It says damim on the top by the said, and it says damim lemata by the said. Just like the top and the said is 1. So to the bottom of the Sayyid is going to be 1. So says the Gemara, Nirele mi domeh. Who's it more compared to? Danin mata mi mata, then danin mata mi lemala. It's much better to compare, right, above to above and below to below, even if it's going to be in different animals, than in comparing in the same animal, the top to bottom. You understand? Because we could have compared, right, the Sayyid, right, to the Sayyid to the Sayyid. It's the same animal, the same sayyid, and lamala lamata. We say no. It's much better to do lamala lamala and lamata lamata from the bull, meaning from even if it's going to be a different animal because it's the same direction than in the same animal. Okay. So says the Gemara, Adrab, the opposite. Tanin gufo mi gufo. It's better to learn the sayyid from the sayyid, which is the same animal, than tanin gufo mi alma. And I'm not going to judge the sayyid from something else. Meaning, why do you tell me that as long as you're judging in the same direction, up and up or down and down, it's better? Why don't we just say it's in the same animal? It's much stronger. So Tamulumar comes teach you that you have to do the blood of the Sayyid exactly like the way they did to the Damapar. Now it doesn't mean kasher asa. What is that coming to teach you? Right? We already know. So therefore he says, Matamulumar kasher asa, shiukola siotav shavot. Everything has to be the same. Meaning not just the achat lemala has to be the same, also by the par and also by the Sayyid, but even the lemata, keshem shelamata bapar sheva, just like on the bottom, right by the par, it's going to be 7. So too on the bottom of the said, it's going to be 7 sprinklings, and that's how we have acha lemala v'sheva lemata. Okay, that's how we have it. So says the Gemara. Okay, lamanu kama lemata bapar uva said. Right, we already learned how much is on the bottom of the par and on the bottom of the said. It's sheva. Lemala bapar, I don't know how much there is. Right? Because again, it's written mifurash on the sayyid that on the top, viza oto. So it's singular, it's 1 on the top. So that we learned by the sayyid. Fareni dan, and I'm going to say 1 second. It says blood on the top of the sayyid, and it says blood by the top by the par. Just like by the sayyid, it's 1. So to the mala bapar should be 1. Or maybe, I'm going to go the other way. It says by the par, damim lemata. And it says damim lemala by par, just like lemata by par is 7. So to azal lemala is going to be 7. So the Gemara is going to ask the exact same shakla v'tarya, the exact same back and forth. We're going to do again. Nemru, we're going to see what is more compared to.
How do you put the outside? That. Because he's with one finger, right? How he did?
Yeah, like that. You're doing like this, even though we didn't speak about it yet. Maybe we're going to speak about it.
Just like that.
I think so. Yeah, I don't think he uses the
because he cannot spritz. That's not enough power. When you do with this, it's spritzing not strong. You know what I mean?
I don't know. It could be
because
why if you go like this. No, if you go like this. No.
He has to have some amount of.
No, you have blood. Yeah, for sure. Lazot, for sure. I don't know if you do like this, it'll go probably flying in the air. I don't know if it's gonna go. If you go like this, it'll go in the direction
blood
you're sending
is
it.
Easier because it's liquid.
Yes.
This is more powder kind of whatever.
No, but this is blood. This is the blood.
You mix it or just the blood?
No, only blood. Only blood.
Oh, so
only blood. Later on, they're going to mix the Dama Par and Dama Sayyid together. But right now, it's only talking about the Dama Par itself and Dama Sayyid by itself. And then afterwards, they mix them together. Yeah? Okay. So he says, Nire lemidome, who's it compared to? Right? Danin mala mi mala, vendanin mala mata. So it's much more compared to say mala and mala instead of mata and mata. So says the Gemara, Adra, but the opposite, Danin gufo mi gufo, vendanin mi gufo mi alma. Again, it's much better to say that the par, I'm going to compare to the par, than instead of saying the par to the Sayyid. So Talmud Lomar comes teach you, V'asad damo kasher asad dama par, she'en Talmud Lomar kasher asad. What does it come teach you? Kasher asad, just like you did it. Umatamon kasher asad. Everything should be the same. Just like lemata in the pot is going to be 7, so to by the Sayyid is going to be 7. Just like lemala ba Sayyid achat, so to the lemala ba par achat. So if you're going to come out just a maskana, it's very simple. We have by the Sayyid written mifurash on the top 1. Okay? We have by the par written mifurash 7 on the bottom. We learned the Sayyid, the bottom, to the par on the bottom, so it's 7 and 7. But we learned the par on the top from the Sa'id on the top. Because there was written by the Sa'id Mifurash 1. Okay? So that's how we're learning it. Okay? Now it says, Achat, Achat ve'achat, Achat u'shtaim. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned to the Braita. Achat, Achat ve'achat, Achat u'shtaim, Achat ve'shalosh, Achat ve'arba, Achat ve'chamesh, Achat ve'shesh, Achat ve'sheva, Divrei Rabbi Meir. These are the words of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yudah Omer, Rabbi Yudah says, Achat, Achat ve'achat, Shtaim ve'achat. Shalosh ve'achat, Arba ve'achat, Chamesh ve'achat, Shesh ve'achat, Sheva ve'achat. So basically, according to everybody, it's 1 and 7. The question is, how do you count? Do you do the 1, and the 1 is always by itself, and then you do the 1, 1 and 1, 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 1 and 4, 1 and 5, 1 and 6, 1 and 7, or do you do 1, 1 and 1, 2 and 1, 3 and 1, 4 and 1, 5 and 1, 6 and 1, 7 and 1, which means
that's the way it used to be, no?
Which one? No, so that's what we're asking here. Yeah, that's how we do it in Kippur. That's how we said in Kippur. The question is, how do you do it? Right? If you remember, we actually spoke about this. So we said that the achat, and all those things is that the 7, right? The achat is for the Yetzer Tov, it's for Hakadosh Baruch Hu, but the 7 is connected to the Yetzer Ra. Remember that there's 7 names to the Yetzer Ra, right? And therefore we're giving like La Azazel, just like we throw off the, the Seila Azazel. So to here we're also like, we're giving it to that's yeah, exactly. Vela pelige. But there's not a machloka between Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. Why? Each one was being modeh to his friend that the Kohen is allowed to count in any way that he wants to. But rather, more kiatre or more kiatre. But each one was going according to the minhag. Which means in the place of Rabbi Meir, right, they used to actually come and mention, right, that's what he says over here to do with the words of Rabbi Meir, it was 1 and 1, 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 1 and 4. Okay? So therefore, that's just the way that it is. For example, they used to do, like 21, 22, right? The mispar achat was always the lemala. So therefore, it's like a klal, and then it's going to be chosen on itself. Okay? That was the pshat of Rabbi Meir, right? So that's why they used to do achat, and then achat u'shtaim, achat v'shalosh, and you continue going, right? But according to Rabbi Yehuda, it was the other way around. But each one agrees that you could do whichever way, and it's going to be okay. However, though everyone does agree, that you do have to count the first hazah. But why do you have to do it on every single one? Meaning like this, according to everybody, it's 1 and 7. The only machloket was, do you do 1 and then 1 and 1, 1 and 2, 1 and 3, like that way? Or 2 and 1, 3 and 1, 4 and 1, the other way. But everyone does agree that you do have to count that 1 with all the rest of the 7 as well. Meaning it's not just 1 and then you start a new count. Achat, shtayim, shalosh. No. It's achat, achat ve'achat, achat ve'shtayim, or achat ve'achat, shtayim ve'achat, right? But everyone agrees that you do have to count that 1 together with the 7. Why? My ta'ama. So Rabbi Elazar says, shelo yiteh bazaot. In order that the Kohen Gadol will not make a mistake, right, with the azaot, right? Because it could be that he counted the azah lemala before the azaot lemata, and then he didn't realize, and he did basically 7 in total instead of 1 and 7.
The order like that, you need probably somebody who help him.
It could be, 100%.
To remind him what he did, what he didn't.
Yeah. No, but the truth is, but the reason though why he's doing the 1 and then the other numbers is to remember the count also. Because if not, if he did 1 and then he's going to start again, it could be he'll get confused and he'll count 7 and he only did 6 because the first one was separate. So he's doing achat. I did that with achat. Now achat ve'achat, achat ve'shtayim, and continue going. So he always remembered that achat was not considered part of the count. Rabbi Yochanan says, Amar Kra, it says in the pasuk lifnei hakaporet yazeh. What does that mean lifnei hakaporet yazeh? She'en talmud lomar yazeh. Right? What does that mean? That it's not going to teach us now the yazeh. Umat talmud lomar yazeh. What does it mean yazeh? Limed al haza'ah rishona shetzicha minyan al kol achat ve'achat. That the first haza'ah needs minyan, needs to count with every single, meaning that when it says lifnei hakaporet yazeh, that word yazeh was extra to teach you, right? That when it's saying vizabetz ba'ol penei hakaporet, it has to do with his finger, that it has to be done with the numbers, right? With each number. My benayu, what's the difference between whether it's that shelo yiteh bazaot or because of the pasuk? What happens if he didn't count, but he didn't make a mistake? If it was only that he shouldn't count, so b'diavad, it's going to be okay. But if you're going to tell me it's a pasuk you need to count, so then he didn't, it's ma'akev. Because anything that's written in the pasuk is ma'akev. So the fact that he didn't count, it's actually going to impede, and it's going to be problematic. Okay? Fine. 2 dots. The 2 dots says, Yatsa v'nicho al kan azahav shebayechal. So remember that the Kohen Gadol used to come out from the Kodesh Kodashim, and then he used to put the leftover of the damapar, he used to put it on the kan. Right? Remember, the kan comes from the word kano, the basis. Remember the basis, right, which is a base. The base is the targum of kan. Kan is a base. So of the azav shebayechal. So this was the picture. You remember the picture yesterday that we showed of the basis on the outside? It was right outside of the Kodesh Kodashim. They had this base. That's where you used to put, and there was a machloka whether there were 2 or 1 of them. Okay. Tanan Hatam, we learned over there. Rabbi Yehuda says, Lo ayu shofarot, right? Lekine, there was no shofarot in the Bet HaMikdash, right? For the kine chova. Why? Mipnei tarovot, which means that usually the shofarot were like the kupot staka. The kupot staka in the olden days, it was like a shofar because it was right. It was just the position, the form of a shofar. So it says they didn't have it for the zugot of the ofot of the chova. Why? Because of tarovet. Well, because of tarovot. Because of the mixtures. What does it mean? Amar Rav Yosef ne tarovet chova ben nedava, because we don't want it to make a mistake between the chova and the nedava, and then the kohen is going to bring it, and it's going to be a problem. Because then he's going to bring a nedava from the chova or the chova from the nedava, and it's going to be problematic. Right? Remember that a ken, right? The birds were always brought for a certain reason. Sometimes they were brought as a nedava, as a present, but sometimes they were brought as a chova. Right? Now, you're not allowed to bring from the chova to the nedava or nedava to the chova. It's going to be a big problem. Yeah, so because of that, because of the mix-up, we don't want to put any type of shofarot for the chova because of that. So Amale Abaye says, "V'navetre. Why don't you just make 2 kupat tzedakah? Just write it on it. Fine, you have 2 different bags, and people get confused. Write on it. Right. This is chova, and this is nedava. Answers Rabbi Yehuda, right? Nun Hamud Bet, right? 55b. Rabbi Yehuda le ketiba. Rabbi Yehuda says that we're not going to be somech on ketiba. Why? Because sometimes people don't pay attention. How many times does it happen that you have two tzedakah boxes and we're not talking about that they look completely different. They look the exact same, just one of them is written chova, one of them is written nedava. People don't realize and they'll make a mistake and they'll start putting one in the other and that's it. So because of that, we don't rely upon just writing on something. Okay, the Tanam, as we learned in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda says, Lo haya sham ela kan echad bilvad. There was only one kan. Trei maitamalo. Why didn't they make two kanim? Mishum de mechalfe. This is again the same thing. Because you're going to get confused. Which means if you had two kans in the Kodesh Kodashim, and you're going to put one for Damapad and then one for Damasid, you're going to get confused. So therefore, we never wanted to put two. So ask the Gemara, make two, and write one of them the Pad and one of them is Said. El Rabbi Yehuda, let le ketiva, but rather according to Rabbi Yehuda, we're not going to be somech on the ketiva. We're not going to be somech on the writing. Okay, and that's the Shita of Rabbi Yehuda. So Meitvei, so now we're going to ask another question from the Mishnah. The Mishnah in Shekalim says Shlosha shofarot hayu b'mikdash. There were 13 shofarot in the Mikdash. Okay? Vaya katuv alehen, and it was written on the 13 tiklin chatin, shekalim chadashim, v'tiklin atikin, and shekalim eshanim. So one of them it was written, right, shekalim chadashim on the first one. Second one, shekalim eshanim, v'kinin. Then it was written goes leola, then etzim, then levona, zahav la kaporet, and then it was another 6 for nedava. So tiklin chatin, these are the shekalim kol shana v'shana. Tiklin atikin was the from last year. Mishelo shekal leshtakad, somebody that didn't give last year. Ishkol shanaba, so he's going to take this year. Kinin is the torim. Goes leola or bnei yonah. Vekulan olot. All of them are going to be olot, korban olot. Right? Remember that some of them are chatat, some of them are olah, but anything which is in the dava cannot be a chatat. It could only be a olah. These are the words of Rabbi Yehuda. Si kiata Rav Dimi. So when Rav Dimi came and he said, Amri b'ma'arava, they said in Eretz Gezerah mishum chatat shemetu be'aleh. No, the reason why is because they had a problem that maybe because of they're going to give the money of the chatat inside the shofar, and then they're going to die. Remember that a chatat shemetu be'aleh, a chatat that the owners died beforehand, you're not allowed to bring it because a sin offering can never become a korban olah, a nedava. It's always a chatat. Now a chatat cannot be given as a present because it's a problem. So says the Gemara. Which one? Do we actually suspect that the owners are going to die? What was the reason why we didn't want to have this pouch, this tzedakah box for the chovot? Because maybe the guy comes, he put, or whether it's for him or his wife, whatever it is, they put money inside and then they die. If they die, they can't bring the chatat.
Yeah.
So well, we're going to suspect that they're going to die before bringing it. But we learned in the Mishnah. Imagine right now somebody sends a chatat from Dinat Hayam. We're going to bring it on the chazakat. They're still alive. Meaning we don't suspect lemita. We don't suspect that they're going to drop dead. Yeah? Ela but rather, mishum chatat shemetu be'aleh avadai. Says no, because here we're talking about a chatat that for sure, right, they died. Not that maybe, because you're right, maybe we don't suspect, but for sure that they died. Okay? So says the Gemara, v'nivrod arba zuzeh. So why don't we just take 4 zuz, right? Why don't we just take 4 zuz, which is the money, the amount of money of one chatat, v'nishte b'maya, right? Throw it in the water. V'hanach nishtere, and all the rest should be good. Meaning, if it's on the suspicion, we just say we don't suspect. So it was really bad, one of them for sure died. But if one of them for sure died, take the amount of one chatat and throw it in the garbage, throw it in the sea. And then there's no problem. So answers the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda let le breira. Rabbi Yehuda does not hold a breira. What is breira? Breira means that I'm going to take out part of the money and then retroactively I'm going to say it was that money that he gave. He doesn't hold a breira, which means who said that I'm going to take these 4 zuz of this guy that died? Maybe I'm going to take somebody else's 4 zuz. So because of that, it doesn't help. If you hold breira, breira just means I'm going to do it now and it's going to go retroactively that whatever I did do it, it's mitbarer, the visa of those 4. No, he doesn't hold it. Menala, and how do we know that Rabbi Yehuda does not hold a breira? If you're going to tell me it's because he taught in the Mishnah, there's a Tosefta actually. This is a Tosefta that the Mishnah says, Halokeach yain mi ben hakutim. If somebody's going to purchase wine from the goyim, from the kutim. Remember that the kutim was a big problem, whether they were gerei ariyot or gerei met. So it says, now he bought it, erev Shabbat im chashecha. Now he doesn't have time to start separating Trumot Masrot. So how does he do it? He just purchased wine, but he doesn't have time to separate Trumot Masrot. So med ve'omer, so he's going to come and he's going to say, Shne lugin shani atid lafrish, 2 logs that in the future I'm going to come and I'm going to separate, right, from the 100 logs in the flask. Harehen truma. They're going to be truma from now, right, from within the other wine. Asara maaser rishon, 10 log is going to be maaser rishon. Because remember, right, when here it says that you're only going to take 2 logs, right, out of 100, because that's 1/50th. Remember, that's going to be Truma Gdola, correct? Let me just see what it says here. Yeah, Truma. This is Truma Gdola. Yeah, this is Truma Gdola. No, Truma Gdola. Truma Gdola. Then he's going to take 10. 10 is Maaser Rishon. But remember, the 10 is 10%. Maaser Rishon is 10%. The first thing is Truma Gdola. Truma Gdola goes to the Kohen. Maaser goes to the Levi, to the Lewi. Yeah, Lewim. Yeah, you guys have to remember. It goes to you guys. Yeah, 10% goes to you. Now you guys have to separate another 10%, which is called Trumat Maaser, or we call it Maaser Mina Maaser. So you guys take 1 out of those 10, and you have to give it to the Kohen. So again, Truma Gdola to the Kohen, 150. Then comes Maaser Rishon to the Levi, 10%. Then the Levi, Maaser Mina Maaser, Truma Maaser, what does it go? Another 10% that goes to the Kohen. And then what do you take? You have to take another 10%. Right? What is that other 10%? Maaser Sheni, Maaser Ani. And here's 1, 2, 4, 5. It's going to be Maaser Sheni, which basically it's for yourself, but you separate it. You have to take it to Yerushalayim and eat it inside Yerushalayim. And if you're going to redeem it, you have to add a 5th. And the other years, 3 and 6, right? Maaser Ani. It goes to the Anim. Okay? So that's what he says here. He says you have to take off Tisha Maaser Sheni, 9 for Maaser Sheni, right? Because basically, since you already took off the 10 and you took off the Trumat Gdola, so now there's only going to be 9 left. Okay? So that's what it says here in the footnote. So there's only going to be 9 left. And then Shotemiyad, then you're going to be drinking it immediately. These are the words of Rabbi Meir. This was Nun Vav Amud Aleph. We just did Nun Vav Amud Aleph. Now we're in Nun Vav Amud Bet. Rabbi Yudav, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon, Osrin. Yudav, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon, they actually prohibit this. Almas, you see from here, in Breda, there's no Breda. Meaning, but basically, what's he trying to do? He didn't have time in order to separate it, right? He just bought it from the kuti. Now he has to separate Trumot to Maserot. So what is he going to do? He's just going to stand and say the 2 lugim that I'm going to take off later on. So then that's what it is. But right now, did he actually take it off? He didn't take it off. So how didn't he take it off? But rather, you're going to say that according to Rabbi Meir, there's Breda. According to Rabbi Yudav, Rabbi Yosef, Shimon, there's no Breda. And then the Gemara is going to disprove this. This is already going to be on Nun Vav Amud Bet for Sunday. Bezrat Hashem.